This is Benny for Gaslight Anthem, and I'm here with you for peta2. I had some sort of empathy towards like animals and wildlife. I was just kind of into it. So even before I knew what vegetarian was, I like adopted a whale and stuff like that. I would give like money to like World Wildlife Foundation. You know, I did the typical like 12-year-old like started and failed and then like started again. You know, it took me a little while to figure out, you know, what my real intentions and motivations were. By the time I was like 14, I was full on, have been since. But you know, a lot of bands like the DC bands that were into it, Discord Records and some bands like that, maybe even some of the Krishna bands and stuff, they were all vegetarians. And they would always have vegetarian food at shows and stuff like that. And just like back in those days too, I mean, it was like the mid-90s, early mid-90s, and like things like being a skateboarder and being a vegetarian and being a little counterculture then were met with a little more resistance than they are now. It was like a little more difficult probably at the time. I definitely grew up in like a typical frozen food buy-out type of family, so it's actually taken me years and years to understand like any version of fresh cooking whatsoever, because I've always been an ethical vegetarian and the health part of it has never really even played a part in it. And now I can see it as an upside that I'm getting old and stuff. But I'm fairly handy in the kitchen. I'm really good with like shitty leftovers and bad food and creating it into like gourmet vegetarian meals. I want kids to like go into it knowing it's a personal thing. If you want to cut this out and that's what you're comfortable with, then cut that out. I found that sometimes you gotta let the cause come to you and just lead by example, you know? For more info on animal rights and vegetarianism, visit peta2.com.